All right, guys, welcome to Cosmic Road. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. Hope you're having a great evening. It is a very exciting time for UFOs. Lots of stuff to talk about tonight. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I'll talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. So, yeah, we'll just get right into it. We've got a great UFO sighting from Nikki Noel. She says, not exaggerating when I said we, three of us, saw thousands of UFOs. And let me change the layout so you can see this bad boy. There we go. Check it out. Awesome capture from Nikki Noel. Let me know what you think about this capture. You see these orbs. You have, you got that guy right there, whatever he is. And they were having a bunch of little phantasmal kind of orbs as well. Yeah, I don't think that's a bird or a bug. Looks like an orb, maybe multiple orbs. And they were getting all these wispy things too, which I thought was really interesting. I've seen that in ghost hunting. Just a great capture from Nikki. She's an experiencer, and she often will post her videos of some really awesome stuff. So thank you for sharing that with us, Nikki. Really appreciate it. Let's see. We got plenty of other stuff to go over. This is from Ursula. Orbs seem to appear out of nowhere in Arizona.
Fucking shooting star.
Well, I don't know what the fuck that is,
That's a
bro.
bomb, homie.
I'm seeing a lot of those fireball UFOs lately. That is really interesting that seems to be a trend that's going on right now. Fireball UFOs are a particular category of UFOs. They look like shooting stars or something like that, but they're not. They're not. They're something way more anomalous. They are like UFOs that are impersonating, meteors. So why? Why do they do that? But then they'll just stop in midair like that. You're not fooling anybody, guys. uh, it's a really interesting disguise they seem to have, if that's what's going on. Maybe it's not a disguise. Maybe that's just an artifact of their propulsion or something like that. Let me know what you think about that. A really good capture from Arizona. Let's see, do we have a date on this? No date on that. A good capture. Hey guys, how's it going? Let's see, we've got Brian, we've got Daniel, we've got David Gomez. It's just a raccoon. Yeah, definitely a raccoon. David says you can live in the desert, record a UFO, and somehow it ends up being swamp gas. Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, and here is another fireball UFO. Again, this is like a trend that I've been seeing lately. Lots of these fireball UFOs. I mean, let me know if you think that's Chinese lantern or something like that. I think we're probably looking at something more anomalous. Of course, this is the day before the 4th of July. This is on the 3rd. Could that be some sort of crazy firework or something? If so, it's a pretty crazy firework. I mean, hats off to that firework company. It could be a kite with some flares on it. Or do you think that's something more anomalous going on? It is maybe suspicious that it starts off very bright and then gets dimmer. It kind of fades out. So could there be a mundane explanation for that? I don't know. Let me know what you think, guys. I thought that was a really good one. A really interesting one. Yeah, let's see. All right. Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining me, guys. We got Night Gazer. Is it ball lightning? Yeah, you never know. Night Gazer says looks like a parachute. Could be. Totally possible. Let's see. All right. Meanwhile, yeah, sorry I've had this cough lately. Benny, my son, got sick a couple of weeks ago. He was congested for one day, but I've got it for, still have it. But hey, that's babies, right? Yeah, he's going to daycare a half a day, twice a week. And yeah, I think this is a side effect of daycare. I hope it's not a sign of things to come. Anyway, okay, we've got this interesting. There we go. You can see what I'm reading a little bit. From David Haith, the jellyfish UAP footage leaked by George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell has been identified as a bunch of balloons by Arrow, which has uploaded unannounced the same video to its website. A statement says in October 2017, an infrared sensor on board a force protection aerostat near Al Takadum. I nailed that. Guys. Air base in Iraq captured 17 minutes of a video of an unidentified object. Arrow assesses that the object was a cluster of partially and fully inflated balloons. The object's appearance is consistent with other recorded observations featuring balloon clusters. Arrow employed full motion video analysis and pixel examination techniques to inform its assessment. Arrow assesses that the object did not demonstrate anomalous performance characteristics. Well, it was invisible. I mean, maybe that's not, movement, but it's interesting. I haven't seen any invisible balloons. Let me know if you've seen invisible balloons that only show up on thermal. Yeah, but to continue, Arrow used geolocational data from the aerostat to assess the object's speed and direction of travel. The debunk is likely to be ridiculed by Corbell and Knapp, who claimed in a weaponized podcast in January last year that intelligence assets at the base continued to monitor the object on thermal imaging equipment as it crossed the facility and then, according to Corbell, zipped over an adjacent body of water, stopped on a dime, plunged into the lake, then emerged 17 minutes later and blazed into the heavens at an astonishing speed. Wouldn't you like to see that part of the video? Wouldn't that be incredible? He said there were a couple of cameras and 7 sensor systems, and personnel were trained to know the difference between a UAP and balloons or plastic bags. I don't know, were they actually trained to discern between a UFO and balloons? Some very specific training. I would love it if that were the case. That'd be cool. But yeah, there you go. Arrow says the jellyfish is just a bunch of balloons. Now, I don't buy that. There's some UFOs out there, some videos that I think are probably not legit, but I'm willing to bet the jellyfish UFO is indeed anomalous. But let me know what you guys think. Well, let me know what you think about Arrow's explanation or debunk of the jellyfish UFO being a cluster of balloons. Jonathan says, have you seen the YouTube video called Revealed the Land of Jesus? Straight is the gate. It's the cover-up of hidden large land between Siberia and Alaska. Claims 3-hour time zone gap is the location. Well, that is really intriguing. I have not heard of the hidden land between Siberia and Alaska. Wouldn't surprise me if there were such a place. There are some. Well, what's that place over there by the UK? The sunken land. It's on the tip of my tongue. Joseph says, when are we getting that disclosure joint that was at South by Southwest? You mean Age of Disclosure? Yeah. What the hell happened to Age of Disclosure, guys? It had its premiere, and I was expecting, and many of us were expecting that, they were going to work out some distribution deals, at or shortly after the premiere, and that we would be hearing an announcement in the very near future about a release date for that movie. Nothing. Crickets for Age of Disclosure. What the hell happened? Is this some behind the scenes thing where they're trying to work out like some really juicy deal and they can't find the good juicy deal, or what? Doggerland. Thank you, Shermanator. I appreciate that. Yeah, let's see. Piano Jester says, watching Dune with the missus. So I can't hang, but I wanted to pop in and say, hey, well, hey, Piano Jester, go watch Dune. Dune is awesome. I actually haven't seen the new Dune, but I love the David Lynch Dune. I actually have my own fan edit of the David Lynch Dune, which combines the theatrical version with the extended version made for TV. Yeah, that's how big of a nerd I am. You'll see. Yeah, Scandrel says, caught the live stream. Awesome. Thank you, Scandrel, for coming on the show. Brian Pimple says, I think these analysts are balloon nuts. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who expects anybody to believe Arrow at this point, but it is what it is. All right, let's do another UFO video. Let me minimize my screen so you can see it. This is another one from Nikki Noel. I think this is the one that really shows all the crazy portals, or the orbs she was getting. Let's see. Well, there's another orb, which is pretty cool. But yeah, you can see all these wispy things, which I've seen in ghost hunts, where all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, you'll just have these wispy things just coming at the camera. Coming through walls, coming through ceilings, doors, closed doors. But then she's also getting all these orbs, which is really cool. Yeah, they're definitely tapping into something, either in a hot zone or really making a connection with the phenomenon. And based on Nikki's experience, I vote for the latter. I think they're really making a really good connection. Yes, on replay now, but we'll get that awesome orb right there. And all this wispy stuff, which I think is really intriguing. Is that ectoplasm? What is that? Yeah, and just some beautiful orbs, seemingly, wanting to be caught on camera. I mean, they don't have to be on camera if they don't want to be on camera, but they are intentionally allowing themselves to be filmed, which I think is pretty cool. Let me know what you think about that. Meanwhile, Anna Polina Luna is talking about reminding us of this is probably an older clip, but she's talking about the other dimensional nature of UFOs. Yeah, no, I thought that was really interesting that she's highlighting the idea of extra dimensional, ETs or extra dimensional beings. Is ET too, cliched? Is just an average everyday being from another planet? You don't want to go there, but somehow it's okay to have extra dimensional beings that's more palatable, or is that just where the evidence goes? And so that's what she's pointing to. I would like it to be for the latter. I would like it to be that, that in my own experience and my own research, that is indeed where the evidence goes. So much of this stuff is other dimensional. But I don't know if that's really where her mind is at, or if she just didn't want to talk about aliens. Yeah. So let me know if you think she just doesn't want to talk about aliens, or if, she has been exposed to enough information to know that, yeah, UFOs are weird. Like we just saw with all those wispy plasm, whatever the hell that was. So I thought that was intriguing. I thought that was intriguing. And I'm going to try to get to all of your comments, or as many as I can. I often get behind. If you really want me to read your comment for sure, then please leave a super chat or a super thanks. It encourages me to do these live streams. And also, it really does allow me to see your comment right away. It appears in bold on my screen. Tristan says, hey, Jack, great to get you live. Just wondering why we haven't heard or seen anything more from Jake and Skywatcher crew on their YouTube channel. Man, you're talking my language, Tristan. Yeah, where the hell is that psionics video? They said that the next video was going to be all about the psionics, the psychic assets, the psionic assets of their team, of the Skywatcher team, that are actually mentally or consciously linking with the craft or the beings that they are summoning down and catching on camera, and even trying to use some measure of the scientific, system to with the idea of getting their data peer reviewed, which would be amazing if that actually happens. They've even been coordinating with the likes of Gary Nolan so that their data can be peer reviewed, which I don't know what peers could review. Sky Squid, I don't, but I mean, I guess you're reviewing the equipment and the techniques and stuff like that. So yeah, where is that next video? I'm sure they're just gathering more data and filming and stuff like that. It's not like a weekly show like Skinwalker Ranch, where they just film over the course of a whole summer and then just edit it into a bunch of episodes. I think they're more likely filming as they go to a large extent. And they don't have a robust budget, like a TV show would. So, but they do have some funding, which is really interesting. And how exactly Skywatcher is going to make their money, because it is a for-profit endeavor, which is really interesting. Are they hoping to develop some technology based on their observations of these craft or these beings, whatever the hell they're capturing? I mean, what is a blob? What is it? What is a manta ray? What is a sky squid? A jellyfish? Are those craft? Are those beings? What are they catching? That's why the next episode is so important, where the psychics are able to actually link with those, whatever the hell they are, that they're bringing in, luring in, or inviting in. I hate to say lure, but that is what they were doing with the control group. When the control group was using the psychics to lure these objects in and then shooting them down, um, based on our best information. And now they're using the same techniques outside of the control group and with some of the same people to bring these objects in, but not to shoot them down. So was the control group making contact with that same category of beings, or those same 9 categories of beings or craft? Was the control group shooting down sky squid? Were they shooting down manta rays? We don't know, but we know that they were recovering the 8 gong. We know they were recovering the egg, per Jake Barber's information. And the 8 gong, although it sounds like something man-made, like the Mike Herrera 8 gong, and in Indonesia, a smaller version of it, there was some feminine entity that was interacting with Jake Barber through the 8 gong. So I don't think that was man-made. So were they shooting that down? Is that a shoot down? Is that a crash? What the hell is the 8 gong and in the egg? How did those things fall out of the sky? We haven't heard the egg or the 8 gong. We haven't heard of any damage to those craft. So did they just set down on their own? Did they use some sort of non-invasive technique to bring them down? Non-penetrative technique to bring them down? Yeah, I'd love the answers to that. But that's a great question, and that's why the next episode of Skywatcher is going to be so important, so that we can get some of those answers. At least, what the hell are they interacting with? Is the sky squid friendly? Is the sky squid want to eat us? What's the sky squid? Is it a craft? Is it a being? Mike M says, Jack, just wanted to say you have my absolute favorite channel for all things UAP and Nazca mummies. Oh, man, thank you. I appreciate that, Mike. Thank you. Coin Exchange says, hello. Well, hello. Let's see. Iska says, has anyone recently investigated and added more context to validate or debunk Boyd Bushman's alien picture? Surprised Ross Coulthart hasn't gotten into the story. Yeah, I have seen Boyd Bushman's alien picture debunked, and then I saw the debunk called into question, and or the rebunking. I don't know if rebunking is a word. Maybe we can make rebunking a word. It was debunked and then it was rebunked, and I haven't seen the rebunk debunked. So as of now, I place a lot of weight in Boyd Bushman's testimony, and it certainly matches what others have been saying, like Don Phillips, and various other Lockheed Martin engineers over the years in Area 51, individuals who have come out saying, yeah, there were beings there. Absolutely. Some of them seem to have been recovered from crashes and may have been captive beings, and there does seem to have been an alien retention program per the John Stewart information, which I think is absolutely legit. And so does Richard Dolan and two teams of remote viewers that have remote viewed the alien interview video. But there also seem to be free range aliens, if you will, at Area 51, beings that are autonomous. They're not in captivity, like the tall whites of the Charles Hall story, in various others, where they seem to be independent and interacting with the humans at Area 51 and likely many other places, especially the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases. So yeah, great question. I think the Boyd Bushman story in those pictures may very well be legit. There was a toy that was made that resembled the Boyd, or I mean, it was a dead ringer for the Boyd Bushman alien, but the dates when that toy came out is interesting, and the may have come out after Boyd released his picture. So yeah, really interesting. If that can be proven to be disinformation, that would give us, one insight into how they do spread their disinformation. It's not. Jack Smith says, let's be real. Extradimensional isn't a new theory. This was written about 50 years ago and longer. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about the other dimensional aspect of this. John Keel and others have been talking about this, going back some ways. I mean, there's even stuff back in the 50s that's hints at stuff like that. So, although mainly that was, nuts and bolts sort of things, and the beings they were interacting with were claiming to come from Venus and the like. Oh, but let's see. All right, let's see what other stories we have. Getting back to David Grusch, we have Christopher Sharp saying, remember, David Grusch has alleged the UAP activities have been hidden within conventional special access programs and controlled access program. This has nothing to do with a dedicated fake UAP SAP. So yeah, Christopher Sharp is saying that Congress, uh, possibly being restricted from these UFO special access programs. That's actually kind of a nothing burger, according to Chris. Actually, David Grush said that the UFO stuff was hidden in just plain old special access programs. That it was carefully hidden within pockets of these programs. And I think that that's probably true. They've been hiding this stuff in plain sight, if you will, for a long time. So I think that was a really good point from Chris. And that is a follow up to this tweet where he says, note, I asked Susan Goff in the United States Air Force spokesperson the following. Hundreds of officers were reportedly shown doctored UFO photos, asked to sign NDAs, and told never to speak of these programs, even though they were later confirmed to be false. Could you clarify whether this was an official Air Force policy? Are those who signed these NDAs now permitted to speak publicly? Has the Air Force assessed whether affected personnel suffered psychological harm? If so, are there measures, counseling, compensation, or other support available to them? In response, is it Golf? Is it Go? Seem to have stuck by her guns, saying, I don't have anything for you beyond the statement already provided, which noted that Arrow's findings regarding the inauthentic UAP SAPs will be included in the next volume of the historical report. Great. Well, we are really greatly looking forward to that. Yeah, I hope you're looking forward as much as I am to Arrow's next historical report. All right. Meanwhile, getting back to the Mosul orb. Um, Maybe I can make this a little bit bigger for you. Let's see. Kind of annoying to switch back and forth. There you go. ProPixels did an analysis of the Mosul orb video that was newly released after a lawsuit, a FOIA lawsuit. And this is what ProPixels was some of what he was finding.
Project, and it's, let's see, let me get to that. All right, so right here, if we look at the object in the unenhanced version, you can see it has a blue hue to it. I asked Grok what metal would reflect a blue hue, and the answer was titanium and aluminum, especially if it was anodized. Aluminum is interesting because that's what the Bugosphere was tested to be, some aluminum alloy. So that's something that aligns with the Bugosphere. And that's pretty much it. So, I mean, there's really not too much to say other than they captured a sphere flying through an airspace, and it was captured with some military equipment. So not some guy in his backyard with an iPhone. That adds a little bit more credibility to the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that last part. I think people with iPhones in their backyards are where it's at. But it is awesome that this is military footage. And then that ProPixels is talking about the composition of this object, that it may have been a aluminum or titanium or aluminum titanium alloy, similar perhaps in composition to the Bugosphere. So not only is it, does it look like the Bugosphere, and it looks like it may be even roughly the same size as the Bugosphere and spherical metal object. It may even be composed of the same metals, which is pretty cool. I like that a lot. I love the Bugosphere. Bugosphere is awesome. We have a UFO potentially in the hands of civilian researchers in Mexico right now being studied. I really want this to be an all hands on deck situation. I mean, all credible scientists around the world should be volunteering their time to go down there and study this damn thing. And billionaires around the world should be offering to pour in money to, for the best quality studies and labs and equipment that the researchers need to study this. By no means bringing this to the U.S., just like with the Nazca mummies. But absolutely, we need money to study this thing. They need money to study it. And we need, the best people from around the world to get involved in the research of the Bugosphere. But there you go. It may actually be similar in composition to the Mosul orb. And of course, I've shown and others have shown many other spheres that look very similar, not just in the Buga area, but also around the world. And this may be one of the most common UFOs seen historically. I mean, this may be what the Foo Fighters were, or some of them. The Foo Fighters were actually composed of all different sizes and shapes of UFOs. They had rods, they had saucers, they had orbs, they had all sorts of, all the sorts of things we're seeing today made up the Foo Fighter phenomenon. But they did have orbs, and that was one of the common ones they were seeing. Some of them were balls of light, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were metal spheres mixed up in there. So could the Bugosphere phenomenon go all the way back to World War II and potentially earlier? Or is this a more modern development? Let me know what you guys think, and let me know where you think the Bugosphere research is going. Is it going to ultimately point to aliens being the creators of this thing? If Stephen Greer is able to get this thing carbon dated, do you think it's going to be old, or do you think it's going to be new? I'm not placing any money on that one. I would think it would be, 20 years old. I'm not placing any money on that one, but it's got enough nicks and scratches on it where I don't think it was just rolled out of the lab. It looks older. but maybe not ancient. But I mean, who knows, guys? Who knows? I would love to know what you guys think. Let's see. Fast Man Pajama says Bledsoe said the sphere would come when the Israel, and yeah, I've talked about that several times with Chris Bledsoe's prediction, or maybe it's the lady's prediction that when Iran and Israel went to war, then the spheres would come and the UFOs would come. And I've shown one or two videos of orbs or UFOs over the war zone, which could be the prophecy coming to life. Or it could just be all these UFOs all over the world, and specifically Bugospheres and stuff like that during the same time period, which is really interesting. So yeah, Rick says it's new and extraterrestrial. Tom Hensley says from the future, like the Zindi sphere. I confess, I'm not up on the Zindi sphere. What is the Zindi sphere? I have to look that up. David Gomez says we went from vacuum tubes to transistors to microchips in no time. That was probably reverse engineered UFO tech. Yeah, well, that's what Philip J. Corso said. Colonel Philip J. Corso in the book The Day After Roswell was indeed they developed micro transistors out of UFO technology. Going from the era of vacuum tube computers to more modern computers, in effect, our modern world was brought to us by the study of UFOs, according to Corso in the book The Day After Roswell. Now, I do have to add that the ghostwriter took a lot of liberties with the facts, and I'm unclear where exactly the line is drawn between Corso's original information and the ghostwriter, fudging some stuff to make it more colorful. I am a crab says, thank you for covering the sphere. It's so important. Yeah, it is, guys. It's a great story, but it's also, I think, a very important story. Just like the Nazca mummies. I mean, we have NHI. We've got bodies, y'all, in the hands of a civilian scientist being studied sincerely and professionally to the best of their abilities and gaining traction. Now we have people in Congress, in the U.S. Congress, and we have had at least one hearing in Peru, and of course in Mexico as well. We might be getting another hearing in Peru about the Nazca mummies in the near future. We'll see if that shakes out or not. There may have been a delay. Yeah, of course I've heard of Betty Andreessen. Yeah, I can't say her name, but yes, it's a weird story. It is a Andreessen. It goes into some weird places. The Betty story is really colorful and really fascinating, and some of it's kind of disturbing and creepy and pretty wild. It's a wild story. It's a wild ride. That's like a whole episode, though. Hey, John Ramirez is in the house. Let's see. Greetings, Earthlings. Greetings, John. Shermanator says, best mummies ever. Hell yeah. Fast Man Pajama says, you should do this every night. I should. I Am a Crab says, similar to Chris Bledsoe somewhat. Betty? Yeah, I mean, I can see a similarity. I mean, taking places and shown some stuff, and told some stuff. Dusty, I have seen the alien carvings, Tula mummy stuff. I debated whether to cover that, but I didn't. I don't have any faith in that. I mean, I would love for that to be true. If you don't know what we're talking about, alien carvings, I think that's a YouTube channel. And there's also a Twitter channel. I think I forget the name of the Twitter X handle. Maybe it's Alien Carvings. There was an archaeological site in Tula, that's in Mexico, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where they were recovering some interesting stuff, some old stuff, and there is a channel that is claiming that some anomalous or very, very interesting objects were found in that excavation. Unfortunately, like I say, I don't have a lot of faith in that information and in those relics, quote unquote. So, but, I don't want to badmouth the channel. And hey, maybe some researchers will come out and say those objects and those relics are legit. But I don't expect that to happen. They're just too modern. They're just too modern, and the way they're composed and everything. I don't see the alien carving information as being legit. But I would love to be proven wrong. Hey, it's Latchkey Hustle. Everybody go check out Latchkey Hustle's channel. John just puts on a great show, and he has such great information. Just time after time, amazing dragon UFOs and other information. Yeah, John should have 100,000 subscribers. He really should. So yeah, go check that out. Let's see. And by the way, John, I just talked to Rob at Undercover ETUK today about him camping out at the crop circle in the UK, of course, and actually, seeing some UFOs. He got one really, really good video of a UFO at night, and then some kind of anomalous stuff during the daytime. And we went over some other stuff as well. So yeah, guys, so everybody check that out on this channel tomorrow morning. Let's see. But yeah, John, you do a great job, man. You really do. I need to have you on the show, by the way. I am a crab says, hi, John. I will check it out. My hubby will like the dragon stuff. Yeah, the dragon stuff is great. Yeah, okay. It's Impossible Visits. I think that's Christopher Noel. Chris is awesome. He's got a new book out. Check it out. And correct me if I'm wrong. Impossible Visits. Chris, right? Artifacts dug up in Tula and nearby areas 20 years before the Nazca mummies were discovered bear a striking resemblance to the mummies. Okay, yeah, the Tula stuff is real. I mean, there was an excavation in Tula, but the artifacts that the channel Alien Carvings is presenting as having come from Tula, personally, I don't have a lot of faith in. But again, I'd love to be proven wrong, and if some research can be done on those artifacts, I will very happily say I was wrong. Hey, it's Jumbles. Oh yeah, Jumbles is doing a contest when I will get to 20,000 subs. His going bet right now is September 3rd. So everybody put in your bets now. See if you can beat Jumbles. Impossible is Chris, right? Yeah, that's Chris. Oh, let's see. Here we go. Simon says, hey, Jack, love your videos more than you will ever imagine. Well, thank you so much, Simon. Do you know about popular YouTubers targeted at young audiences are spreading disinformation about the spheres? The rabbit hole goes deep. Yeah, the disinformation about the spheres is disheartening, and of course it is out there. And there's a lot of people that just have a knee-jerk reaction, against it without doing any research or listening to any information about it. They just, it looks like something I could whip up in the garage. Well, okay, then go whip one up in the garage. Show me the money, man. Show me the money. People just have those knee-jerk reactions, and of course there is disinformation. The establishment says, wow, this could actually galvanize the public. We can't have that, so we better put some BS out. Let's see. I am a crab says, yes, Jack, I will send you that report on Twitter about the disinformation. That's why it's so important you are covering this. Well, thank you. And yeah, please send that to me. We'll see. Lasky's Hustle says target bound. Okay. All right. Is that on? I don't know what that was for, but okay. Well, stay on target, John. Stay on target. Dusty says Turbo Buga 5000. Okay. All right. I like that. Cognisa says the grays are no longer gray. They used gene editing to turn back into humans. They no longer need to sacrifice beings or take drugs in order to live forever. Okay. Interesting thought. Now about the color of the beings, it's really interesting that there seems to be more information about the color of their skin being sometimes like a blue or a bluish gray, which is really interesting because is very likely the color of the Siberian being. Obviously, it was frozen in the snow. Unclear how much damage there was that could have resulted in a different color, but it looks kind of blue or blue gray, if it wasn't discolored by frost, right? In the Nazca mummy videos, if you watch the Tomb Raider videos, which are controversial, and a lot of people will say they're hoaxed and fake, where you actually get to go into the Citadel, the site where the Nazca mummies were found, and see the Citadel and bodies that are wearing headdresses and body armor, chest plates, and stuff like that, that are completely gone now. They're all like sold on the black market, according to best information. And although I think Maria's headdress may have been saved from the black market, it was sold, and then they got it back, maybe. But if so, I haven't seen any studies on it. Anyway, some of those bodies look very fresh, and they are kind of blue gray, blue white, which is interesting. Which is what the Siberian mummy looks like as well. So I wonder if that is a common skin color for those beings. In the alien interview being, that was said to be more tan, which is interesting. Chumble says, who else wants to do a retro UFO video episode? All VHS classics. Oh, we should talk about the retro stuff and the older information. Yeah, it is important to talk about that. Because there's so much information that we can learn from older cases. Dweezy says, love the channel. Every morning I look forward to your upload. Well, thank you so much, Dweezy. I appreciate that. Tom says, what is your background? Well, I'm a novelist. I write science fiction and fantasy novels. Like this bad boy right here. I don't know if I can see. Yeah, I think that StreamYards right now is reversing this. So you can't actually read the titles. But yeah, I'm a novelist, Jack Connor. Go find me on Amazon, and you can read my books. Yeah, and but if you mean like my UFO background, I got into UFOs in 2017 when Lou Elizondo came out. It was right around when I saw the Beaver, Utah UFO, on YouTube, and I instantly realized that was a real object. And it was a really compelling video, and I watched it on a loop, and then I watched all the analyses of the Beaver, Utah UFO. And then I went back and I rewatched Lou Elizondo, all his interviews. And I started investigating, ATIP and SAP and all that kind of stuff. And the UFO phenomenon at the time ultimately led me back to Skinwalker Ranch, and a bunch of other rabbit holes led me into the paranormal. And I got really interested in that, and I studied the paranormal, and the research was very solid and compelling, and I recognized there was some there. At the time, I was an atheist, and I did not believe in any of the spiritual or metaphysical mumbo jumbo, as I would have thought of it. But I recognized that these were real events that were happening. So I saw ghost hunting as a possible backdoor into investigating aliens and UFOs, which I had done a massive amount of research on aliens and UFOs, and I still am. And I thought ghost hunting could lead me to some answers on aliens. So I did some ghost hunting. I co-founded a ghost hunting organization group, and we did some ghost hunting. And after a lot of ghosty encounters and evidence, it was clear to me that they weren't aliens. So I went on Google and I just typed in, do we have souls? And I wanted to know what Google was going to say. And what popped up was near-death experiences. And so I researched near-death experiences. I researched near-death experiences in as much depth as I had researched alien abductions, which was a considerable depth, absorbing thousands of experiencers of each category. And the studies, the stories of those experiencers. And also one of my ghost hunting buddies was a Reiki master, and I allowed her to do Reiki on me, and I could feel the energy. And that was a really important moment in my life when I felt something metaphysical for the first time. And then I learned Reiki. And it was around in that time period when I began having my own experiences of the UFO kind and the metaphysical, paranormal, spiritual kind. And it began a whole new chapter in my life as an experiencer of multiple phenomena. And then I had to talk about it and let people know, people like myself who weren't clued into this stuff, that this stuff was real. And so I started the channel, and here I am. So that's my story in a nutshell. B Collins says, "Thank you for all your work." Well, thank you, B. How do I put you up on the screen? All right, let's see, BBB. Thank you. All right, thank you so much for the contribution. I appreciate it. And anybody, I'm going to try to read as many of these comments as I can. But if you want me to read your comment, for sure, leave a super chat or a super thanks so that your comment will appear in bold on my screen and I won't miss it. So thank you very much, B Column. I really appreciate it. Fast Man Pajama says, I watched a healing video a couple of days ago. In through the darkly glass. Sean's channel. It was wild. Okay, maybe it wasn't Sean's channel if it was in Japanese. But yeah, Through the Glass Darkly, great UFO channel where Sean Patrick Hazlett does interviews with really interesting people, and highly recommend going to check out Sean's channel because he does a great interview, and he always has such fantastic guests. Really does. Oh, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Any questions? I Am a Crab says, Jack has a beautiful aura. I have seen it twice. Before. I'm getting a big head now. I got a good aura. I recommend everyone here take the Gateway experience. I have the whole Gateway process on my computer. I've only done a couple of videos yet. I need to complete the Gateway process. I need to make that a mission. Elis Yildrum says, Jack, I like your channel. You should have Anita Conan on your channel again. Also, any plans on talking about astral projection, how one can perform it, and all the small details? Well, once I complete the Gateway process, maybe I'll have more insight into that. I've only had one out-of-body experience, and I had one lucid dream, which was recently. My first lucid dream. Really, really interesting. It was weird. I'm not going to give you all the details of it, because it was somebody's input that actually allowed me to have that dream, and I don't want anybody else to give me input to affect any future dreams. But it was weird because I was not able to control the dream. I became aware that I was dreaming, and then the dream got broken. Instead of me being able to control the dream and doing whatever I wanted, the dream broke, or at least that is what it seemed like. Although now I have quite a slightly different insight into it. It was the Star Wars crawl started coming down the screen, or my vision. It started coming down in my vision. It was all garbled because I guess in dreams they can't do words very well. But it was very obviously the Star Wars opening crawl coming down across my vision in this dream. And the dream had nothing to do with that. And so I interpreted that to be the dream breaking. And it was really freaky. And it wasn't that long after that I woke up. But later I had some thoughts. And what is Star Wars all about? Well, it's all about the Force, right? Chi, the energy. And that's what Reiki has taught me how to use. And I love Chi and I love the energy. And it could well have been, my higher self or some being, some spirit guide or something reaching to me in that dream and giving me some message about the energy and the Force. Maybe I need to do more Reiki or channel Chi more. I'm doing Qigong right now. I'm taking a Qigong class. I guess I have for 10, 15 weeks, something like that. And yeah, it's really amazing. I've been learning a lot in Qigong, but I can still do more. I can still do a lot more. So, and I need to have a regular practice, not just doing it in class. Let's see. Whiskey Shred says, my cats show me things in dreams, like weird things are, even her sickness and end. It was heartbreaking and true within weeks. Oh, that's terrible, Whiskey. I'm so sorry. But I guess that seems to indicate your cat, uh, does have a soul and was contacting you and is likely in a better place now. So I have had a ghost cat coming to visit me, and I haven't had to visit for a little bit, for maybe 6 months or so. But for a long time, for a period of 2 or 3 years, at least 3 years, I was having a visit often from a ghost cat. I would like to think it was my beloved cat Buddy, and it may have been. I don't know. Uh, I only got a good look at him twice, and he was a tabby like Buddy. I don't know. Usually he would just rub up against my leg. I didn't usually see him, but a couple times I saw him, maybe 3 times, um, twice for sure. And yeah, he was a tabby. So, or is a tabby in his ghost form. So, cats have souls. Cats have souls, and they can contact us. Um, yeah. Let's see. The Cool Creative Build channel says, glad to have found you in your channel, Jack. I was just like you until I had my own personal experiences. Yeah, I was like, yeah. Well, it's transformative when you have your own experiences. It really is. It really is. All right. Let's see. You're probably tired of hearing me jab. Let's see. I did want to share this. I'm loath to give Mick West any credit at all. But he did apologize to Billy at ProPixels. I guess there was some drama, and Mick West does say, I apologize to Billy for making fun of him. Sometimes my amusement at being able to make a quick joke outweighs the knowledge that this is a sensitive subject with deeply held feelings that need to be taken into account. I should have stuck to analysis and avoided humor. Yeah, I don't think humor is your strong suit, Mick. I don't. But I mean, I did want to point that out because I do think that takes, something, takes a little spine to apologize. So good on Mick for doing that. Meanwhile, I was talking about the Citadel and the images from the Citadel. And I wanted to share some of those with you if you had not seen those, because I think they are potentially very important. And this is shared by Wixie, who I hope to have on the show because he has a similar passion. And he also he discovered something. In an interview with the researchers, he connected a dot that's actually in that photo right there. And I think that's a very important dot to connect, to another dot. And it seems to me to indicate that these photos were taken by the Tomb Raiders. And this is the Citadel. These are images of the Citadel. And some of these are beings. This is their armor and their shields and their whatever the heck they had. Yeah, that was Maria's headdress. We only have like the one picture of Maria wearing this headdress, which then apparently got sold onto the black market along with everything else. I had heard the headdress was back, that they had the headdress now. And I think that was a picture of it, with the recovered headdress. I think that was the picture of the recovered headdress. We also get into the funky stuff. That's where it gets weird with the Citadel photos and video. You get stuff like this. Yeah, you get mantis people, Tim. Yeah, so or whatever these things are. I don't know if that's a mantis person, but it's something. Now I do have a kind of a theory about what we might be looking at, because I don't see mantis people hanging out in caves, even though that does look like a mantis person. It really does. But mantis people are hanging out in spaceships or whatever. They're wearing capes. There's these regal, godlike figures, right? They're the top of the hierarchy. They're the top of the pyramid that we can perceive from our perspective of, the ETs that are managing the Earth project. From my research, and if you have different information, let me know. But I don't think they're hanging out in caves fighting Tomb Raiders. I don't. And I think that if they did, they would probably win. But this mantis being, or whatever the heck it is, lost, if this stuff is legit at all. But maybe we're not actually looking at a mantis being. Maybe we are actually looking at one of the giants. We only have the severed hands of the giants now. We have the 3 severed hands of the Nazca mummy giants that Eric Burleson actually held in his hand at that event, at the conference in Mexico. So could that tridactyl hand that we're seeing right there be the real life flesh and blood hand, the living hand, and when this photo was taken, of the being, of a type of being that Eric Burleson was holding in his hand? Is that possible? Is that possible? That's kind of my theory. That's kind of my theory, guys. Dweezy says dreams can be really wild. I still can't understand what's happening when you have a dream and then it actually happens to you. Yeah, that is weird. People have predictive dreams, which is super fascinating. Impossible Visit says he's going to send me the PDF. Is that of your book? Yeah, Impossible. Chris Noel has a book out, which I actually have on my shelf right now. I'll give you a plug, Chris. Hang on. He's got a new version coming out. All right, I'm looking. So it's over here somewhere. All right, you guys see it? Where is it? I'm okay. I'm tiny. Make myself bigger. Maybe you can. No, it's too low, and I've got the words hidden over it. Anyway, Chris, your book is behind me on the shelf. I will find it and give you a plug if I can. Where is it? I had it right there. Oh, it's back there. It's back there, Chris. Anyway, you go check out Chris's book. But he's got the new version, and I will probably be interviewing Chris in the near future. And he wasn't talking to me. He was talking to Latchkey Hustle. He was going to send a PDF, possibly of the book. Let's see. But yeah, dreams are wild, Dreezy, and people have all sorts of incredible experiences involving dreams that turn out to be legit. Princess Moochie says, "You're so cool. Never change." Well, thank you, Princess. Tell that to my wife. I'm never changing. Cognizy says, everyone is like, hey, you're an alien. You can give me infinite life for $1 million, but they can't give everyone without overpopulation. And for everyone to get it, we need to build a working system. Okay. I don't know if I quite followed that, or read that correctly, but yeah, absolutely. We do need a better system than we have. Completely agree with that. Let's see. All right. Were y'all interested in going over the Nazca mummy stuff? Because I thought that was just super, super fascinating. Yeah, I mean, look at this crazy stuff. So here is the fight with this mantis being that I think is actually a Nazca giant. I think that if this is legit, and it may not be, but if this is legit, I think we may be looking at a Nazca giant. Not a mantis being, although wouldn't surprise me if there was some shared DNA there. Now, I mean, it looks fake, right? It looks like claymation. But why would Tomb Raiders go into the Citadel? Because this was obviously filmed on location. They didn't build all those sets. They didn't build all that armor and stuff for no reason, right? Why would they hire a special effects department, even a bad special effects department, to create those videos? And there's more as well of these beings that are seemingly alive at the time of filming, like this guy right here. Why would Tomb Raiders go to the trouble of doing that? And how would they do that? And if it was faked, why haven't, the special effects people that built it come out and say, yeah, I work on these B movies in South America. Now I was approached by these Tomb Raiders to create these fake videos. We haven't heard anybody like that coming out. So what is the truth of these videos? Are they legit? I mean, are we looking at living beings here? The story is that they were finding these living beings, and there was violence toward them, and it didn't go well. And and then their bodies got sold onto the black market. That is the story. Is that true? I don't know. But we could be looking at, I think that is a still living being at the time of this video, a living Nazca being. That is very possibly what we're looking at. Now, if you think it's a fake and a hoax, let me know. And I don't, I understand if you feel that way. It certainly doesn't look the way we would think that a living being would move. But, that is what we would expect a living being to move. But we've never seen beings like this move. So, and it does seem to be in its final moments, possibly after an altercation with the Tomb Raiders. But yeah, it's kind of sad to watch that. But would the Tomb Raiders have hired a special effects department, to some prop guys to make this? And you can see that this being, if you examine it closely, its eyes are adjusting as if to the light of the camera. You can see it kind of squinting that eye against the camera. Would they have gone to that detail to fake these videos? I don't think they would have. And again, we haven't heard any prop guys making B movies in South America coming out saying that, yeah, we made this for the Tomb Raiders. In fact, we have not heard much about these videos at all. It's pretty much gone under the radar. I asked Jaime Maussan about it in one of our talks, and he just brushed it off, saying they were fake without any explanation. How are they fake? Who made them? How are they faked? Were they faked on location in the Citadel? Because look at this. We've got this pyramid structure. We've got the location. We've got various pieces of the location where we can see archways and floors, and there's all sorts of pictures of the mosaics, the tile patterns, and all sorts of stuff. And all the armor and stuff. And there's the big pyramid thing with the writing on it. I don't see the Tomb Raiders making that. I don't see it. But I mean, if you do, let me know. I'm open to all opinions. And if you have like a explanation for that, how Tomb Raiders got these videos up and how they made it. And you're exactly right. The cool creative build. They say the alien from the interview passed away soon after that. Yeah, it was going into distress during that interview, and it supposedly passed away immediately after that interview. Seems like any videos we ever get of aliens are, when they're dying, pretty much, or in bad situations. Very, very sad. Very sad. Brian Pimble says, did any of that writing match the Bugosphere? One character from one of the objects, not the pyramid, but one of the other artifacts supposedly found on the site of the Nazca mummies at the Citadel. One character that looks kind of like an H with a little cross on it does match the Bugosphere. One single character, but it's pretty much an exact match, which is interesting. Why only one character? I mean, is it a coincidence that it's an exact match? I don't know, but it is pretty much an exact match. Hey, it's Florida Real UFO. Everybody should go check out John's channel as well, Real Florida UFO. He goes out and basically gets nightly UFO videos, and I've shown lots of them. He's got Tinkerbell. How many people have their own orb that comes to visit them all the time that even gets its own name and interacts with them? And hits their truck. Yeah, John's awesome. A real Florida real UFO. I always want to say a real Florida. Let's see. Yeah, we got John. We've got John Ramirez. We've got John from Florida Real. Then we've got John from Latchkey Hustle, if he's still here. Yeah, the John's Rock. Yep. Yeah. Anyway, so we got the Bugospheres, we got Nazca mummies. We talked a little bit about David Grusch. Anything else you guys want to talk about tonight? What is on your mind? Any of the recent stories grabbing your attention? Disinformation campaigns from Sean Kirkpatrick, Susan Goff. Interesting, weird comments from Tim Phillips. Let's see. He was talking about how the beings had always been with us. The UFO phenomenon had always been with us. Where is that? I'm trying to find that. I have way too many tabs open. I think this is it. Share this tab. Okay, here we go. All right, here's Tim Phillips, former director of Arrow, talking about how the UFO phenomenon has always been with us.
Has this whole situation enriched your life in any type of way? Do you think the puzzle is really something to keep pursuing?
I think so. And this has been going on for the existence of mankind, and was referenced to extraordinary things in the Bible. Yeah, I think we need to know more about it. I think that we need to leverage all available data that we have. I think we have information that we have paid for as taxpayers with sensor data that hasn't been exploited, that could help us go back and validate and give us additional insights to these historic UAP cases that would help lead to some understanding.
Has
this has been going on for the existence of mankind.
Existence of mankind. I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, you haven't heard Sean Kirkpatrick, the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, say that the UFO phenomenon has been going on since the existence of mankind, have you? That's really interesting that he would go there. Maybe he should have stayed on as the director. I mean, he's been pushing some of the same disinformation that the rest of them have, but he does seem to be a little bit more open-minded, or a little bit more willing to go in areas that, Kozlowski and Kirkpatrick won't go. I thought that was intriguing. I thought that was really intriguing. I don't know where his mind is at, or why he's able to say stuff like that and not the others. Yeah, Dusty says Tim is sus. Yeah, no, he is. they're all extremely sus. But he is saying the UFO phenomenon has been here since the onset of mankind. The others aren't saying that. That is interesting to me. Oh, thank you so much, Brian. Great show as always. Breadcrumb. Hopefully John Stewart will be back on here with some really amazing information that is in the works as we speak. Yeah, well, John and I talk all the time, and he is working on some stuff, and I can't wait to have him back on the show. It looked like for a minute I might get him on the show last week, but I don't think that the cookies aren't done yet. So I think we're waiting for the cookies to be done, and we'll see what happens. And I think that he really liked that information by what was the experiencer's name who said that he was interacting with beings that were the being from the alien interview, that type of being, that he had interacted with just exactly that race of being before. Yeah, John liked that. And so hopefully we'll get something going on with John soon. I know he's got stuff going on. Yeah, Justin, what was his name? Justin Bush. Justin Bush. Yeah, I think that was his name. Justin Bush, I believe, was his name. Really interesting experiencer with a lot of information. I was especially galvanized by his information about the MyLabs. I thought that was really interesting take that he had, or not take, but his experience with the military abductions, separate, although related, from alien or not NHI abductions. Not the same thing, Stephen Greer. Yeah, but he had some really interesting information, saying that when he was questioned by the Men in Black, by the military that performing the My Labs abductions. Sorry for coughing. Yeah, if you didn't hear it earlier, Benny got sick a couple of weeks ago in daycare. He was only congested for 1 day, but I still have this bug. So I love you, Benny, but that's something I'm probably going to have to get used to. But yeah, the Men in Black, the My Labs were saying that they were asking him if the beings had given him any orders. Yeah. So, and he had some other stuff to say too, but that was super fascinating. That seems to indicate that the control group has encountered abductees that have been given orders by the beings before during abductions. What were those orders? Obviously, whatever those orders were, they contradicted or conflicted with what the control group wants. They didn't like those orders. So were they, orders to harm people or to go against the control group in some way, or to, harm the general public in some way? What could those orders have been that the control group was that invested in it and that interested in it? They would abduct people to ask questions like that. Go to that much trouble to ask them those sorts of questions. So there's something really interesting happening there. Some really interesting information that we should probably know. Yeah, I think. Oh, hey, John, thank you. Let's see. Let's get you, John. All right. I think Jack is a hybrid. Helping disclosure happen. He wants to come out of the closet. Well, thank you, John, for helping me come out of the closet. Yeah, it's out now, guys. It's out. No, not really. But thank you, John. Thank you, John. I do think Stephen Greer is probably a hybrid. He fits all the descriptions. Egghead, wide-spaced eyes, connection to the phenomenon, and he fits the description of a hybrid. I think that Stephen Greer is a hybrid, but that's just my thoughts. Tom says, wait for the stomach virus to start. I hope not. Let's see. John says, at least you're not in Texas, Florida, real UFO. Yeah, well, I am in Texas, and it's been a sad couple of days for Texas. It has been a very sad day. And in fact, since we're here, why don't we all send our thoughts and our hearts and our prayers out to those who are affected by the flash flood, and prayers for those who are missing, that they can be found safe and sound, and love and comfort to the families of the missing and the slain. It's a horrible thing that has happened in Texas over the last couple of days, with the flash flooding that has taken many lives, and there are still many that are still unaccounted for, and we can hope for the best for them. So yeah, amen. Yeah, horrible situation. In the hill country, spent a lot of time in the hill country. That's my mom lived there for 20 years, and lovely part of the state. Yeah, really tragic, obviously for the people. Let's see. On a different topic, Cognisa says Jesus was meant to come again as well, but I don't think they expected the access of computers and the folklore networks. Okay, I missed your conversation, guys. That sounds like a really interesting conversation about Jesus and computers. I don't know what the folklore networks is. You'll have to clue me in on that. Rick McEntee says, would love to meet up at John's place for a cosmic road trip and do a Skywatch. That'd be amazing. I'd love to come to Florida. That'd be awesome. Parker Lee says, what do you believe in the tiny dragon UAPs are doing covering our planet? Are they just gathering information? That's a great question, Parker. What the hell are the dragon UFOs doing? I think that is a fantastic question. If it were simple surveillance, I don't think that it would explain it. I mean, we have satellites that can do simple surveillance if they were just tracking the movement of objects. And if you don't know what a Dragon UFO is, it's a small UFO that buzzes aerial vehicles for reasons unknown. They'll buzz helicopters, planes, whatever's moving in the sky. They will buzz. And heck, they've even buzzed, birds and kites. But they especially love man-made vehicles, seemingly, particularly like police helicopters and military vehicles. But the civilian vehicles, just basically, if you point a camera at a civilian airplane long enough, you'll probably see a dragon. And that's from the research by Dr. Robert Scheip, who coined the term dragon UFO, because at first he thought he was saying dragonflies. But others like John at Latchkey Hustle and Rob at Undercover UK have gotten on board the research, and others as well are helping out. As for what the dragons are doing, I don't think it's simple surveillance. I think it may be, let me get Doug up here. Ding Harmon. I've said Greer is a lizard person for years. Yeah, well, I think you're on the money there, Ding. Yeah, he totally fits the bill. Or maybe not a lizard person, but yeah, hybrid. But yeah, as far as the dragon UFOs, all right, because I've actually been thinking about doing a video on this about, because it goes into what we know about UFOs. The observed behavior of UFOs and the interest and motivations of the beings, as much as we can see. I mean, there's only so much we can see. There's only so much they're saying. And a lot of what they're saying you can't trust. And they have told people a lot of stuff. How much can you trust? I don't know. But we know they're interested in our nukes, right? It's pretty well established. They buzz our planes and our aerial vehicles. They are also seemingly interested in blood, which is weird and disturbing. Somebody's sucking blood out of cows in the cow mutilations. Colares, UK, Colares, Brazil, they're sucking blood out of people with beams. It's interesting. It's, but that's, two dots there, but I wish there was more information there. And there actually are more blood related cases actually. But so that's one set of, as a one pattern. Nukes are another pattern, another set of behaviors. Buzzing aerial vehicles, another set of behaviors. Abductees are often given environmental messages. That seems to be a repeated, interest of theirs, of the beings. So if you try to put some of these together, the blood thing doesn't really go, but you can make it work. But you put the interest in the nukes and the environment together, and you combine that with dragons, you could, make a guess that maybe they're testing the emissions of the planes and the helicopters. I mean, it's not a huge stretch, but it's just a supposition. I mean, it's just one theory. It's not even a theory that I particularly believe in, but it's not simple surveillance. They could accomplish that with a satellite, right? Or whatever, remote viewing. But maybe they need something to actually get in there and get some samples of those craft, of the fumes they're emitting, of the gas, something. They actually have to get in there physically, something that a satellite can accomplish. Something that a remote sensor device could not accomplish. Something they actually have to get in there, and possibly get a sample. That's a theory. What other, what else could the dragon UFOs be doing? Possibly surveying the consciousness of those aboard the planes, right? If there's some sort of very advanced craft of whatever the hell they are, maybe they can sense the consciousnesses of people aboard the planes, and interacting with people in that way. I don't know, guys. I don't know, but I think that's a great question. Let me know your theories. What are dragon UFOs doing? Florida Real UFO says we have a multitude of V UFOs, saucers, and others, all in a tight formation, showing up in space. On your channel. Okay, I like that. Kenny says, did we have men before armies? Did we have boats before navies? Did we have airplanes before we had an air force? Did we nor have helicopters before we had marines? Do we have? I'm not quite getting the thrust of that, but it sounded like interesting. Clop Trip says it's like us versus sentient island people. I have missed your conversation, guys. I have no idea what you're talking about. Cognisa says lizards equals limbic. Yeah, I'm totally missed out on what the hell you guys are talking about. That sounds like a fun conversation, though. John says, could those things we are now seeing in the skies were there all along? Dragons and orbs and jellyfish UFOs? A great question. Are jellyfish UFOs coming in from some other dimension because they were called in by the psychics? Or have they always been here? That was a great question. Let's see. Florida Real UFO says, I've never made a dime. Well, John, you should have way more subscribers, man. You should be making at least enough money to make, it worth it for you to spend the time on. That's too bad. That's too bad. But you're going to get there, John, because you are catching legit UFOs, basically every night. And I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing what you're doing, John. Rainstorm Hunter says, I've caught dragons by helicopters. Cool. Well, if you have any links, post them. I think YouTube will allow links to other YouTube channels. Tom says, what state are you in? I'm in Texas, and I'm from Texas. Currently in College Station, but I'm from the Austin area, although I've spent a lot of time in Houston. My mom was from Austin. My dad was from Houston. When my mom retired, she moved out to the hill country where she was from. Let's see. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about? It's getting close to 9 o'clock here on Saturday. May want to take it, I get another 5 minutes, see what you guys want to talk about for another 5 minutes, and then I'll probably wrap it up. Paula says, Jack, you should show some of Robert's videos about the hockey UFOs. I hope you didn't talk about that yet. I just got here. I'm late. Okay. The hockey pucks. Yeah, Rob's. When you say Robert, I thought you were talking about Robert Scheip from Custodian File. I think you're talking about Rob from Undercover ET UK. And yeah, we talked a little bit about the hockey pucks today, and I talked a little bit about that the other day, where Rob is getting these really interesting sub-lanimals, as I call them, or actually that's Christopher Noel's phrase. And, these weird anomalous beings. They look like birds or bugs, but they're not quite bugs or birds. There's something else. Something else is going on there. And that's what Christopher Noel is calling sublanimals, which I think is really funny. Rob categorizes them as dragon UFOs, and some of them might very well be, but some of them I think are this other weird category. He calls the ones that look like bugs hockey pucks, because they have this big blocky body, which kind of looks like a bumblebee, but not really. And they go way too fast, and they're weird. So, so that's the hockey puck. Dusty said, I lived in Austin near Dripping Springs. Okay, cool. I have family from Dripping Springs. It's really neat. I love Dripping. Parker Lee says, yeah, that was a great interview by Quirk. Yep. Oh, and by the way, teaser for the future. Jim has had this individual on talking about the tree monster. I shared the video a few weeks ago about that weird, crazy monster in the tree that was wrecking shit up and knocking branches over and ripping branches off and throwing them down in this big old tree. And you couldn't see what was doing it, but it must have been pretty large, maybe bear-sized or something, but it wasn't a bear. Nothing was really showing up on camera. Well, Jim from the Quirk Zone had a gentleman on that did an analysis of this video and was picking out some interesting details of what might have been the being responsible for that, this crazy tree monster. And I'm going to have him on the channel soon to talk about the tree monster. I think that's a fantastic video of something really interesting happening there. It's just a badass video of something in that tree wrecking shit up. And we don't know what it was. I don't think it was a bear. I think a bear would have been pretty obvious. Was it a Bigfoot? Was it a, mantis being having a bad day? What was it? I don't know. Cognisa says someone can apparently shine radios at most processor chips because the Caravel management engine. Okay, y'all are still on about that conversation that I have no clue what y'all are talking about. Kalinga guitars. Yeah, I missed y'all's whole conversation. But DCD says there was an in-depth show about bugs coming out of caves years ago, especially the spiral-winged stick-like bugs. Okay, yeah, all right. Is that you mean the rods? Yeah, that's a thing. I want to say that's been debunked, the spiral things, but things have been debunked, and then the debunk has been debunked, so that could happen with that. Okay, Jock Reth Hydra, who always has great comments on the channel, but I can't pronounce your name, man, or I don't want to misgender you, but it says, didn't that happen in South Carolina? I knew a guy that told me he saw the lizard man in his backyard once there. Yeah, I don't want to see a lizard man in my backyard. I don't want to see the wolf man, the werewolf that Jay Stratton saw. Impossible Visit says, why no Texas accent, Jack? Nothing except saying nuclear. Yeah, nothing except my inability to say nuclear. Well, people have always asked me that. They've never been quite sure where I'm from. Some people think I'm more Louisiana or something like that. Apparently, I have a strange accent that I may have just invented myself, or at least I was born with a weird accent that nobody else has. I don't know. But you're not the first person that has asked me what my accent is. I'll let you know if I figure it out. Maybe John Ramirez is right, and it's a Zeta Reticulan accent or a Arcturian accent or something like that. You never know. Libarcade says, do people do underwater CE5? Yeah, it's a Jackson. Yeah. Underwater CE5. Wow, that's a cool idea, Libarcade. I like that. I've never heard of underwater CE5, but I do think that's a cool idea. That so much of the phenomenon is underwater, whether they're just coming and going from the water or if they live there. I don't know, but why not do some CE5 there and see what happens? That's an interesting idea. I like that. If anybody sees anybody doing that, let me know. I used to do scuba diving. I don't do it anymore. Fast Mambadama says maybe underwater up to the neck. Yeah, you may want to have like an avenue of escape. Do it in shallow water, right? If we have the sky squid. If you have the underwater squid come up, the alien underwater squid. Oh hell, any underwater squid, big squid. You may want to be able to get out of there. But good idea. I like that. Yeah, cool idea. Trevor says, "Aloo, everybody." Rick says, "Wonder what a hybrid accent sounds like." Yeah, good question. Florida Real says, "I only do CE6." Cognisa says, "Undersea bases have been on Google terrain anomalies pages on Facebook, and they often disappear." Oh yeah. Well, there was that great undersea base, the what is it, an anomaly? What do we call it? That has these big columns and this big flat surface over the columns in the Pacific off the California coast. And many people think that is an underwater ET base, and it certainly looks weird. And there's a lot of activity in that area. Well, Google Maps disappeared it. I mean, if Google didn't disappear it, it wouldn't look so anomalous, honestly. It's, the Barbra Streisand effect, right? And it looks weird, but there's a lot of natural features that look weird, but Google doesn't make them vanish. So, yeah, it's a little suspicious there, Google. That's a little suspicious. I love it. All right, guys. Well, you have been awesome. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. And, I look forward to that interview with Rob from Undercover UK tomorrow, Undercover ET UK. Going to talk about his own sightings and his experience camping out at a crop circle. And you guys are awesome. You have such great questions. I love it. Love you guys. And yeah, just see you next time. Good night.